Horror games usually make people think of terrifying creatures, eerie locations, and stories that push the limits of imagination. Most horror games are designed to be far from realistic, with their only purpose being to make the player suddenly jump out of their seat or feel disturbed. Of course, many indie horror games have incredibly deep and meaningful stories behind them, but even those stories rarely make you think, this could actually happen to me in real life. The game we'll be looking at in this video stands apart from all of them. Tales Beyond the Tomb, Pineville Night Stalker. This is a retro-style horror game based on a real-life incident. The most striking part of the game is that the story it tells actually happened in real life. Of course, the developers may have added extra details in certain parts, but the vast majority of the story is real, and that sense of realism constantly makes you think, this could happen to me too, which makes the experience incredibly unsettling. While playing the game, I constantly put myself in the protagonist's shoes and kept wondering what I would have done if I were in that situation. In this video, I'll be telling you the story of this game in a cinematic way. So grab your favorite drink and some snacks, and let's take a look at the story of the Pineville Night Stalker together. But before we begin, if you enjoy the video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave a like. We're still a brand new channel, and your support truly means a lot for helping us grow. Anyway, without wasting any more time, let's jump right into the video. The game begins with the protagonist's own words. My name is Megan. I graduated from law school 2 years ago. Since then, I've been working in a small office in downtown New York. My mother passed away 2 months ago. We didn't have a particularly close relationship. To be honest, it had been 6 years since we last saw each other. This morning, I received a message from a lawyer telling me that I had to travel to the town of Pineville to sign the will. I asked my boss for 3 days off so I could take care of everything as quickly as possible. My coworker, Lenny, is on vacation and offered to come with me. Today I had to stay late at the office to finish up a few cases before leaving for the trip. In the end, I fell asleep. After this opening scene, we wake up in the middle of the night, having fallen asleep at our desk in front of the computer. Megan mentions that she desperately needs to use the restroom, so we head there, take care of business, and wash our hands. Just as we're washing them, Lenny suddenly walks out of the men's restroom and says that we scared him, even though the one who was actually frightened was us. Anyway, Lenny then asks for our help finding a file he lost. We locate the file and bring it back to him, and he thanks us. Afterward, he asks how we're doing and whether we're ready for tomorrow's trip. We tell him that everything is fine, and after finishing our conversation, we leave the building to head home. When we arrive at the bus stop, Lenny says he'll walk home since he lives nearby, but because our house is much farther away, we'll have to wait for the bus. Since it's already very late, Lenny says he's worried and offers to stay with us until the bus arrives if we'd like. We tell him not to worry and that he should head home, so he agrees and leaves. We sit down at the bus stop and wait. The area is incredibly quiet. There's no one else around, except for the occasional garbage truck and a few passing cars. While we're waiting, a stranger walks past us, but strangely enough, he suddenly stops halfway down the road and turns back. I assume he must have forgotten something where he came from, but instead of leaving, he walks straight over to the bus stop and sits down right beside us. Even though there are plenty of empty seats, the fact that he chooses to sit directly next to us at this hour of the night immediately makes me feel uneasy. Right now, it's just him and me out here. If he wanted to do something, nothing would stop him. And the fact that he sat next to us without hesitation already feels like a sign that something is about to happen. After sitting in silence for a while, he suddenly starts talking to us, saying disgusting things like how beautiful we are and that a woman like us shouldn't be out this late at night. We tell him to leave us alone, and fortunately, he gets up and walks away. Shortly afterward, our bus arrives, and we head home to get some sleep. The next day, we set off for Pineville in Lenny's RV. Even though we leave early in the morning, the journey is so long that we keep driving until evening, and we still have quite a distance left to go. During the trip, we chat with Lenny and enjoy the scenery. I don't know about you, but I absolutely love gloomy, rainy weather like this. So this part of the game feels almost like a relaxing sightseeing experience to me. Of course, Lenny keeps making terrible jokes along the way, but eventually we arrive at a gas station without any problems. We head into the convenience store to buy a couple of energy drinks, one for Lenny and one for ourselves. We drink them together while chatting for a while, and since we still have a long way to go, we decide to spend the night at a motel. After arriving, we rent 2 separate rooms. However, The woman at the reception tells us that she has a son and that her son is mentally unstable. She tells us not to be frightened, so we simply say, "All right," and head to our rooms. Once inside, Megan says she'd like to take a shower before going to bed, so we do just that. As soon as we finish showering, we hear someone knocking aggressively on our window from outside. We go to check, and when we open the window, a mysterious man is standing right in front of us. He says that his mother is angry with him and asks us to let him inside, but of course we refuse. The man immediately becomes furious, starts yelling, and tries to break the door down to force his way inside. We quickly hide inside the wardrobe and pray that he won't find us. Unfortunately, after searching the room for a while, he discovers where we're hiding and begins saying some truly disturbing things to us. Just then, his mother, the motel receptionist, arrives and rescues us. It turns out this man is indeed her mentally unstable son. Afterward, we grab a cup of coffee to calm our nerves, and just as we're about to return to our room, Lenny suddenly appears and asks if we're all right. We tell him that everything's fine, send him back to his room, and try to get some sleep. The next morning, we wake Lenny up and continue our journey toward Pineville. We don't arrive until evening. Once we reach the house, we spend a little time talking with Lenny in the front yard, and I think this part of the game is visually very peaceful. After that, we head inside and decide to order a pizza for dinner. We find the pizza place's phone number on an old pizza box in the garage, go upstairs, and place the order. Then, we take another shower to wash away the exhaustion from the trip. While we're in the shower, we overhear Lenny talking to our boss on the phone. Apparently, he has to pick up some documents for our boss from a town near Pineville. Since Megan hasn't been back here in nearly 6 years, the thought of Lenny leaving her alone makes her visibly upset, and she tells him exactly how she feels. Unfortunately, there's nothing Lenny can do about it. He promises he'll be back within a few hours and says he won't leave until after they've eaten the pizza. Right then, the pizzas arrive. We head downstairs to answer the door, and the delivery driver asks where our mother is, mentioning that she hasn't ordered anything in quite a long time. We tell him that our mother passed away. The driver sadly replies that his own father died just last month, says he understands our pain, and hands us the pizzas. We put the pizzas onto plates, sit down with Lenny in front of the television, chat for a while, and enjoy our meal. While we're eating, someone suddenly knocks on the front door. We go to answer it, only to find an elderly, rather strange-looking man silently staring at us. When we speak to him, he introduces himself as Joseph. He says we look just like our mother and offers his condolences for her passing. Oddly enough, even though it's none of his business, he also asks who the man standing beside us is. Then, after casually remarking that it looks like it's going to rain soon, he suddenly walks away. After this bizarre encounter, Lenny and I jokingly argue over who has to wash the dishes. Eventually, Lenny leaves the house, and we're left completely alone. Megan quietly reflects on how her mother was murdered and how none of the neighbors claim to have seen or heard anything. Later, when the clock strikes 10:45 p.m., it begins to rain outside. Megan heads downstairs for a glass of water, drinks it, returns upstairs, and falls asleep. Suddenly, someone knocks on the front door. We head downstairs to investigate and find another mysterious man standing outside. He claims his car is broken down and asks us to let him inside, but we refuse. Before leaving, he coldly says, "You'll pay for this." We try to go back to sleep, but this time we're awakened by a strange noise coming from the garage. Before going downstairs, we check the garage through the security cameras that our mother had installed around the house. To our horror, we see Joseph forcing the garage door open and entering the building. We immediately hide inside the wardrobe once again, but Joseph eventually finds us. He insists that someone else was trying to break into the house and claims he came only to protect us. We angrily tell him to leave immediately, and surprisingly, he does. While searching the house afterward, we discover our mother's diary. In it, she writes about how deeply she regrets the broken relationship she had with us. More importantly, we learn that she had recently become increasingly worried about her own safety, which is why she installed the security cameras. She also writes that an elderly man had been constantly harassing her and describes how frightened she had become because of him. After reading everything, Megan says there's no way she'll be able to fall asleep again and decides to go downstairs to watch some television instead. While watching TV, a news report about a murderer comes on. Just as we're listening to it, the electricity throughout the entire house suddenly goes out. We grab a flashlight and head outside to check the fuse box, only to discover that someone deliberately sabotaged it. The moment we turn around, we see the same man who had earlier asked to be led inside the house. This time, he's holding a knife, and without warning, he charges straight at us. We sprint back inside, slam the door shut, hide inside another wardrobe, and desperately pray that he'll leave. He searches the house for quite some time, but eventually gives up and leaves. The moment he's gone, we call the police and beg for help. After making the call, we hide underneath the bed and remain there for a while. Eventually, we gather enough courage to crawl out and head downstairs to check whether the house is safe. The instant we reach the first floor, the man suddenly bursts back inside and corners us. We desperately try talking to him to buy ourselves some time. At that exact moment, Joseph silently appears behind him and without hesitation plunges his knife into the man's body, killing him on the spot. Completely overwhelmed by everything that's happened, Megan rushes upstairs, saying she has to call her lawyer, Henry. Joseph calmly tells her he'll wait downstairs. When we finally reach Henry and explain everything, the most chilling moment in the entire game arrives. Henry tells us that there is no neighbor named Joseph, and even more disturbingly, every single one of our neighbors is currently out of town. The fear and panic I felt sitting in front of my computer at that moment are impossible to describe. Joseph had seemed strange from the very beginning, but because the game focused so heavily on the other man, I completely stopped considering Joseph as a threat. And now, I'm trapped in the same house with this mysterious old man. In a panic, Megan hangs up on Henry and rushes downstairs to check on Joseph. When she gets there, he's gone. Instead, she notices a trail of bloody footprints leading toward the garage. We follow the trail into the garage where Joseph stands holding a knife. He begins telling us his life story, explaining that he spent his entire life saving other people but never received anything in return. He says that eventually, he started killing because it was the only thing that made him feel alive. Without another word, he suddenly attacks us with the knife. We immediately hide inside a wardrobe once again. While we're hiding, Joseph hears police sirens approaching from outside. Realizing the police have arrived, he flees the scene immediately. We step outside and finally surrender ourselves to the police, bringing this nightmarish journey to an end. And with that, we've reached the end of the game's story. Even though the plot may seem fairly simple on the surface, it's based on real events and depicts the kind of situation that could happen to absolutely anyone. That's exactly what makes it so terrifying. Anyway, that brings us to the end of today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. I'll see you next week. Take care and goodbye.